for the recording notice here. There we go. Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, August the 27th, 2025. Time is now 6:10. I will now call this regularly scheduled virtual meeting of the Aurora Planning and Zoning Commission to order. I'll now call the roll of commissioners. Commissioner Jecic.
Present.
Commissioner Bush.
Present.
Commissioner Geiser.
Present.
Commissioner Riley.
Present.
Commissioner Benka.
Present.
Commissioner Hogan.
Present.
And Commissioner Walls is also present. We've established a voting quorum of 7 members in attendance tonight. The Pledge of Allegiance will not be said tonight as this meeting is virtual. We will move on to the approval of the minutes for August the 13th. Everyone received a draft of the minutes. Did you all have an opportunity to read them? Okay.
Yes.
Are there any amendments or corrections to those minutes? Okay, seeing none, the chair moves to approve the minutes as presented without objection. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Benka. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from August the 13th as presented without objection. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, without discussion, any objection? Without objection, the minutes from August the 13th will stand approved. Tonight, we've got 4 items of general business, items 8A through 8D across 3 applications. The chair moves to approve the agenda as presented without objection. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Hogan. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented without objection. Any discussion on the motion? Without discussion, is there any objection? Okay, the agenda will be adopted. I'll now read a summary of our policies and procedures for this evening's meeting. Please make sure your home or computer microphone is on mute unless you're speaking. The Planning and Zoning Commission meeting is a quasi-judicial hearing. There is no swearing in of those who will give testimony, but it is presumed that all parties are telling the truth. When addressing the Commission as an applicant or their representative, please state your first and last name as well as the organization that you're representing. You may additionally state if you are an Aurora resident. If you are addressing the Commission as a member of the general public for public testimony, please state your first and last name and if you are an Aurora resident. For each agenda item, there will be an initial presentation by city staff. Afterward, commissioners may ask questions of staff. Discussion of agenda items by commissioners will be conducted only following a motion and a second. Following the staff presentation, the applicant or their representative may choose to make a presentation or answer questions. The applicant will have 10 minutes for their presentation. Commissioners may ask questions of the applicant. Members of the public that have signed up to speak will each have 3 minutes to speak on the agenda item during this public comment period. It is asked that only new information be presented. The same arguments should not be repeated. Commissioners may ask questions of the public following their comments. After public comments, the applicant will have 5 minutes to address any public comments. Commissioners may ask questions of the applicant. The chair will ensure all commissioners have no further questions of the applicant or staff. The chair will then call for the question. After a motion has been made and seconded, the commissioners will then discuss the case amongst themselves. After the discussion, the chair will call the question. Commissioners are finders of fact and will vote based on their evaluation of the evidence presented as compared to Code Section 146. All rulings by the Planning and Zoning Commission are normally final. Exceptions are zoning map amendments, zoning code amendments, and comprehensive plan amendments that need City Council approval. Decisions by the Commission can be appealed to the City Council by presenting a written appeal to the City Manager within 10 calendar days of the public hearing. City Council also has the discretion to call up any case whether an appeal has been made or not. Notices for this virtual meeting were published, posted to the City website, and the development projects were posted with signs on the properties. Notices were also mailed to adjacent landowners per city requirements. Without a consent agenda, we will move directly into our first agenda item, 8A, recording for the minutes. We don't have any site visits for 8A. That's a UDO amendment. So agenda item 8A is a UDO amendment, the text change for landmark designation. Our case manager this evening is Chris Geddes on behalf of the City of Aurora. Chris, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to try and share my screen here. Can you all see the slideshow?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I see people nodding their heads. Okay, thank you. So I am the Historic Preservation Specialist for the City of Aurora, and this is just going to be a brief presentation to explain why we are doing this text amendment. In case you aren't aware of this, but when a property in the City of Aurora is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, it is automatically made a local landmark. And for a long time, we've been asked to kind of disconnect these two processes from each other, and so that they would stand independently on their own. Okay, why is my slide thing? There we go. Okay, so just a little context. The City of Aurora became a certified local government, what we call a CLG, in 1988, so that's almost 40 years now. The Historic Preservation Commission is actually celebrating their 40th anniversary this year. The agreement is between the City of Aurora and the National Park Service, basically stating that the city will pay attention to its historic resources and work to protect and preserve those resources that are important to the city's history. With that, we get financial benefits, access to state tax credits for locally landmarked properties that they otherwise wouldn't qualify for. We get guidance from the State Historic Preservation Office. They do webinars and educational trainings to help us out. We've had a number of projects funded by grant money that is only awarded to CLGs. So it's a smaller pool of applicants qualifying for that money. I know for a fact that this connection between the national and state or local landmark designations. It's been requested for over 20 years that we kind of sever that connection. We get quadrennial reviews from the CLG coordinator at the State Historic Preservation Office. And in 2021, it was specifically called out that we resolve this by the time of our next review. And suddenly it is 2025. We have our quadrennial review scheduled for October 14th. And so we really need to be able to report some progress on this, this issue. And so we've talked with planning since January, have had some meetings about other projects with Janine Risted, and so kind of let her know that we really needed to get this done this year. And then we got our quadrennial review scheduled for October, so we do have this urgency to get it done. There is kind of a concern that if we are not following the CLG guidelines, which in effect are the National Park Service guidelines, which are then, federal regulations, that we could be, in non-compliance and we could lose our CLG status. Seeing as we were one of the early CLGs, and that gives us access to financial incentives for our locally landmark property owners, we really hate to see it come to that point. So we've been working with planning. And I've had the great help of Stephanie Beard and Crystal Vigil to get this going and on agendas. So I'm presenting to you tonight, and then I think there was some crossed wires, but we will be presenting to the PED on September 10th. It was felt that we could still do that because we would have both committees have the opportunity to review this and make their recommendations prior to study session, which is on September 22nd, and then council readings in October. And this is just to show you the evaluation form from 2021, and there were two recommendations. They wanted us to turn the state tax credit review back over to the State Historic Preservation Office. We did that last year. And then the other thing was, updating the UDO to allow for public participation. And so that's why I'm here. We want to revise the section of Chapter 146, Section 2.6.5.C.2 of the Historic Preservation Ordinance. And really the reason we need to do this is it's about due process. When we list something in the National Register, and then it automatically triggers local landmark, and people don't know about that. They might have regulations restrictions on their property that they don't know they're getting into. And so it's kind of taking them out of the public process. And so by having this separate process where they do national register, that's fine. They get their national register designation. If they want local, then they come to us and we do it separately so that there is a public process that allows for us to do notifications, for the owner to be, informed. Our process is to have a signed owner consent form, so we wouldn't want anything being listed without owner support. But it allows them to participate in the local preservation program and that process, and to speak about their property and make sure that this is the route they want to go. So with that, I've worked with Tim Joyce and Lena McClellan in legal, and they created the resolution, and we've reviewed it here at the Aurora History Museum and Historic Sites and tweaked a few things. We did want to make sure that anything that has been listed on the National Register and locally landmarked prior to this taking effect on January 1st of 2026, that they will be grandfathered in, so we won't have to change anything, go through any additional processes. But anything listed in the National Register, basically as of January 1st, 2026, will only be listed on the National Register. It will not trigger automatic local landmark. That would be a completely separate process. And that way we would be following the federal preservation laws and regulations as required in the CLG handbook. And so I'm here to answer any questions and keep moving this forward, hopefully. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your presentation, Chris. I'll open the floor for questions from the commission. Okay, seeing none. Stephanie, do we have any members of the public signed up to speak on 8A?
No, Chair, we do not.
Okay, without public testimony, I'll close this portion of the public hearing and entertain a motion on agenda item 8A.
This is Commissioner Jacek. Agenda item 8A, ordinance text amendment based on the staff recommendation and the presentation and discussion at this evening's public hearing. I move to recommend approval to Aurora City Council of the ordinance text amendment to section 146-2.6.5.c.2 of the Unified Development Ordinance for the reasons to remove the automatic local landmark designation when a property is listed on the National Registry of Historic Places for the reasons stated in the staff report.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Jacek. It's been moved to approve agenda item 8A. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Banka. It's been moved and seconded to approve 8A. I'll open the floor for discussion on 8A and remind the commission that this will be a recommendation to City Council. So I'd like as much discussion and comments from the commissioners as possible to clarify the record for City Council. Commissioner Hogan.
I recently, very recently, just went through this process with our Historic Preservation Commission. 2 questions, 1 comment, 1 question. It was actually a wonderful experience going through this. So I had no issue with the Historic Preservation Commission, either in its current form or in its past form. It was a great experience. It was one that I didn't know that we had to go through, but I had a lot of help from staff and it went well. My question is, because this was so recent, do I have to recuse myself from this vote?
Can I clarify something for you?
Sure, go ahead, Chris.
What Commissioner Hogan is talking about, they went through a certificate of appropriateness. And so this was for the Korean War Memorial that is going in at the Waterfowl Preserve. That is something completely different from local landmark. I mean, like the process of putting something on the local landmark. So I don't think there's a conflict of interest. I'll let you determine that, but this is something that the COA process happens after you're landmarked.
Thank you.
Yeah, and since this isn't a retroactive ordinance change, I mean, we can get an official statement from Lena, our city attorney, but I don't determine that there's any conflict. Lena, do you care to weigh in?
Yes, Chair and members of the commission. This is a legislative act and not quasi-judicial, so I am not concerned with there being conflict.
Great,
Perfect,
thank
thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Further discussion on the approval of 8A. I think that this ordinance change makes a lot of sense. Normally, I'm not in favor of adding more government bureaucracy to things, but in the case where it improves public transparency and gives potentially some property or landowners the right to even understand that this process might be happening, I think that's an important step that it's incumbent upon us as a city to look out for our citizens and the properties owned within the city. So I fully support this. Other discussion on 8A?
Yep, I agree with Chairman Walls, but I do have one question. When this the designation is given, there's also restrictions. So, are the same restrictions that the federal government has, or those restrictions also apply to the local designation?
I'll defer to Chris. Yeah.
Okay, so oddly enough, the strongest guidelines and review and regulation comes at the local level. There is really no protection for a national or state register property. Those are really just recognition only and used to obtain funding for preservation tax credits. It's kind of one of those myths that if you list something on the national or state register, you're going to have all these restrictions. As far as local landmarking goes, there are, it depends on which city you're in. Every city kind of creates their own program to meet their needs. And so, Denver has different regulations and rules than Aurora does. So we do have certain processes, certain things that we review to make sure that the characteristics for which we listed a property remain intact. But that does not mean that you cannot change the property. And I would give you two basic examples, one being the Stanley Marketplace. That is a landmark. And I think if anybody has been to the Stanley Marketplace, there have been some changes to the building. Certainly there have been multiple interior changes. We don't review interiors. And so, they don't have to come to us for anything on the inside. And then the other example I would give you is the Fox Theater or the Aurora Fox Arts Center. They came to us, to the Historic Preservation Commission, for a major alteration certificate of appropriateness. They put an addition on the building that was approved by the Preservation Commission, and they have the studio theater that was added onto the building. So we didn't restrict them from making an alteration to the building.
Okay.
Does that answer
Great.
your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Further discussion on the approval of agenda item 8A. Commissioner Hogan.
Chair Walsh, I'm going to approve this because by putting this in the UDO, I believe it will trigger conversation early. I think that the one thing is for you to go through a whole process, for instance, and not know that something is a historic preservation site or could be, puts you at a definite disadvantage and can be very costly in the end. So I'm happy that it is in the UDO set up front so that planning staff also knows that we need to alert these folks that what they're looking at is in a historic or a potential historic preservation area. Therefore, I will be supporting this.
Thank you, Commissioner Hogan. Further discussion on the adoption of 8A. Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Jecic,
Approve.
Commissioner Bush,
Approve.
Commissioner Geiser,
Approve.
Commissioner Riley,
I approve.
Commissioner Banka,
Approve.
Commissioner Hogan,
Approve.
and Commissioner Walls also votes to approve. Agenda item 8A is approved to be recommended to City Council. Moving on to agenda item 8B, which I believe will be a joint presentation with 8C, which is the Dutch Brothers Coffee at Pomeroy, recording for the minute site visits by Planning Commission. Commissioner Jecic, Commissioner Geiser, Commissioner Banka, Commissioner Bush, Commissioner Hogan, and Commissioner Walls. 8B and 8C is the Dutch Brothers Coffee Pomeroy conditional use for drive-through, located in Ward 6. Our case manager this evening is Ariana Muka, the applicant Cole Valley Partners. Ariana, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Ariana. I'm a planner with the city. Tonight I'll be presenting the Dutch Brothers at Pomeroy with one conditional use and a site plan application. The applicant Coal Valley Partners LLC is requesting an approval for a conditional use for a drive-through and a site plan for a new 1,025 square foot coffee shop. The parcel is zoned mixed-use regional and is within sub-area C. No adjustments are requested. Here is a vicinity map showing the northeast corner of South Aurora Parkway and South Elkway. Here's a more zoomed in aerial view showing the property outline in dashed red. The site is located by both residential and commercial properties. East of the site is single family attached, and to the north is undeveloped single family residential. To the west is a gas station and a car wash. Here is the zoning map to show the overall site and its relation to the surrounding zoning. This site is zoned MUR mixed use regional. To the east, west, and south is a continuation of the MUR. To the north of the site is the R2 or medium density residential. 12 adjacent property owners and 9 registered neighborhood organizations were notified of the application. No comments were received during the review of the application. Therefore, no neighborhood meeting was held. One comment was received on August 26, 2025, from a nearby resident citing concerns for traffic jams. And when there is an accident, traveling every day to work, Gun Club turns into Aurora Parkway, and there is no side streets if there is an accident to get home. Staff spoke with the citizen, and we discussed that there was a traffic letter and it was approved. Legal notice was sent to the Aurora Sentinel on August 14th, 2025, and the applicant has submitted verification of certificates of mailing to adjacent property owners and neighborhood organizations. The major issues discussed throughout the review process included site design / building orientation and the drive-through conditional use. The applicant has proposed a site plan with the building oriented along South Aurora Parkway, with 2 drive-through lanes located to the interior to the site and screened from public view. A generous outdoor patio is provided adjacent to the walk-up window, activating the frontage and supporting pedestrian use. Vehicular access will be from a private road along the north property line, which will connect South Aurora Parkway to South Elkway. This layout reduces views of the parking lot from South Aurora Parkway and positions the building to serve as a screen and incorporate generous landscape throughout the site. Section 146-3.3.6.e is a drive-through, requires drive-through to have a conditional use approval in the zone district MUR. This conditional use approval must comply with the design standards intended to minimize visual and operational impacts. Standards include locating the drive-through to the side or rear of the building and designing facilities to minimize conflicts between vehicles and pedestrians. The proposed drive-through meets these standards by being located along the north side of the building, internal to the larger commercial development, and access from the private road, rather than Aurora Parkway. This placement minimizes the visibility of the drive-through lanes and enhances safety by separating the drive-through circulation from the pedestrian areas. Here is the south and west elevation showcasing the drive-through and walk-up window. The coffee shop will operate 7 days a week from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. with 3 to 5 employees per shift. Here's the north and east elevation. The east elevation will be the pickup window for the drive-through. The north elevation will be the pickup window for the drive-through, and the east elevation is the internal one fronting or facing the parking lot. With that, in compliance with the conditional use criteria in section 146-5.4.3.a.3 of the Unified Development Ordinance, staff feels the applicant complies with the applicable standards in the UDO and the mixed-use regional zone district, that the application is consistent with the comprehensive plan, urban district, that the size, scale, height, density, multimodal traffic impacts, and hours of operation are compatible with the existing uses in the area. There is adequate capacity within the city's infrastructure to serve the proposed development, and adverse impacts to the surrounding area have been mitigated. With the site plan complies with the criteria for the approval as following. There is capacity with the existing city infrastructure to accommodate the development improvements such as sidewalk and trail connections, as well as other public improvements. Will improve the city's infrastructure, and the proposal is compatible with the surrounding land uses and complies with the Pomeroy Master Plan. With that, staff finds that the site plan and conditional use meets the approval criteria because it's consistent with the applicable UDO standards. Approval should be subject to resolving the technical issues prior to the recordation and issuance of building permits. With that, I conclude my presentation. I am available for any questions, and we have other representatives from the city, as well as our consultants here to help answer questions and maybe have a brief presentation.
Great. Thank you so much for the presentation, Ariana. I'll open the floor for questions from the commission. Commissioner Hogan.
Ariana, I just want to double check. Did you say that you got an inquiry from a resident on this project yesterday? The 26th?
Correct. Yes, correct, Commissioner Hogan. I did get a call from a nearby resident citing their concerns.
Do we normally get a blue sheet on that since it was after the fact?
In this case, because it was a phone call, they did not give their residence and or personal information to add to the record.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Further questions of staff by the commission? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the presentation by the applicant. And please state your name for the record, the organization that you're representing, and you may optionally state if you're an Aurora resident. You'll have 10 minutes to present.
Hi, yeah, my name is Michael Beck. I work with Barkhausen Consulting Engineers, the planners and engineers of record for this site. We agree with staff's recommendations, and we're happy to answer any questions. We do not have a presentation to follow.
Okay, great, thank you. That might have been my misunderstanding. I'll open the floor for questions from the commission of the applicant. Okay, seeing none. Stephanie, do we have any members of the public signed up to speak on 8A?
No, Chair, we do not.
Sorry, 8B, my mistake.
Right. 8BC. We do not.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Stephanie. I'll close this portion of the public hearing on 8B and entertain a motion. And this is the conditional use for the drive-through.
Chairman Wallace, related to 8B, conditional use for the drive-through, based upon the staff recommendations, the presentation and discussion at this evening's public hearing, I move to approve the conditional use for a drive-through because the proposal complies with the requirements of Code Section 146-5.4.3.A.3 of the Unified Development Ordinance for the reasons stated in the staff report.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Hogan. It's been moved to approve 8B. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Benka. It's been moved and seconded to approve 8B. I'll open the floor for discussion from the commission. I'd just like to state, I think I have no issue supporting this. I think the conditional use for the drive-through makes a lot of sense here. The applicant has gone above and beyond. I believe the city's requirement was 7 spaces in car stacking, and I believe they're providing 17, if I remember correctly. So I like to see that our applicants are not just meeting the standards for conditional use, they're kind of going above and beyond. I think the screening does a great job of mitigating any of those adverse impacts from the neighborhood to the east, and they have situated the drive-through away from the frontage on the backside of the building. So I think that all of my concerns, any of those adverse impacts have been mitigated. Further discussion on the adoption of 8B? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Jacek?
Approve.
Commissioner Bush?
Approve.
Commissioner Geiser?
Approve.
Commissioner Riley?
Approve.
Commissioner Benka?
Approve.
Commissioner Hogan?
Approve.
And Commissioner Walls also votes to approve. 8B is approved with 7 votes. I will now entertain a motion on 8C, which is the site plan. Commissioner Geiser?
Based on the staff recommendation and presentation and discussion of this evening's public hearing, I move to approve with one condition the site plan because it complies with the requirements of Code Section 146-5.4.3.b.2.c of the Unified Development Ordinance for the reasons stated in the staff report. Approval to be subject to the following condition: resolution of outstanding technical issues prior to recordation and the issuance of any building permits.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Geiser. It's been moved to approve 8C. Is there a second?
I so second.
Thank you, Commissioner Bush. It's been moved and seconded to approve 8C. I'll open the floor for discussion. And I'll start us off. I was concerned as well when I was kind of going through, because I know anybody who drives in the area knows the traffic and the speed on Aurora Parkway. So I think that I join that citizen's concern. But after thoroughly kind of reviewing the traffic report, it's important to note that that traffic study does find that in both the measures for 2027 and in the further out measure for 2045, actual levels of service are acceptable for both of those based on any new traffic that Dutch Brothers might present, or this site plan application might present to the area. So I don't think I have any issues in being able to support this. I think it's a great site plan, and I'm a large fan of Dutch Brothers expanding in the metro. Further discussion on 8C. Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Jacek,
Approve.
Commissioner Bush,
Approve.
Commissioner Geiser,
Approve.
Commissioner Riley,
I approve.
Commissioner Banka,
Approve.
Commissioner Hogan,
Approve.
and Commissioner Walls also votes to approve. 8C is approved with 7 votes. Moving on to agenda item 8D, which is the Green Valley Ranch East Side Site Plan number 17. Recording for the minutes, Commissioner visits to the site. Commissioner Jacek, Commissioner Riley, Commissioner Bush, Commissioner Banka, and Commissioner Geiser. Okay, agenda item 8D is a Green Valley Ranch East Site Plan number 17, which is a site plan with adjustments located in Ward 2. Our case manager this evening is Debbie Bickmeyer, the applicant, Clayton Properties, Group 2. Debbie, the floor is yours.
Good evening.
Just FYI, we see your email. Okay, there we go.
Yes, thank you. It flipped from my practice earlier, so give me one moment. I'm sorry.
Sure.
There we go. My apologies. Good evening. Debbie Bickmeyer, Senior Planner, and I will be presenting item 8D for you this evening. The applicant, Clayton Properties Group 2, requests approval of a site plan for 244 single-family and two-family duplex lots on 44.5 acres. The applicant is requesting an adjustment to section 146-4.5.3.b.1 for access and connectivity, and from section 146-4.3.9.b for the maximum block perimeter. The site is zoned R2 medium density residential and is part of the active adult development within the Green Valley Ranch East master plan. The site is located in the southwest quadrant of East 52nd Avenue and Tibet Road, which is approximately 1/2 mile west of E470. The site is included in the Green Valley Ranch age-restricted active adult residential community, which is outlined in the dashed yellow in this image, and is including the area between 48th Avenue and 52nd Avenue. Site plans have been approved to the west and to the south of the site, and the surrounding area to the east and the north are vacant. The site is currently undeveloped, and as you can see, there is existing residential to the west, and the area to the south is currently being developed. Tibet Road has been constructed to the intersection with 52nd Avenue, and 52nd Avenue is currently under construction to complete the connection from Tibet to Piccadilly Road. Additionally, in this photo from March, you can see that the improvements in the drainage channel located to the south of the site are also under construction. The site is zoned medium density residential district R2 and is designated emerging neighborhood by the comprehensive plan. The areas to the north and the south are also zoned R2. The area to the east is zoned airport district. Okay. The subject property is included in the Green Valley Ranch East Master Plan, which is overall located between 38th Avenue and 56th Avenue, between Piccadilly and E470. The subject site is identified as planning area 2 in the master plan, and as you can see from the blue star, it is in planning area, it's at the southwest corner of 52nd Avenue. 52nd Avenue was formerly the northern boundary of the master planned area. However, the master plan was amended last year to add the area between Piccadilly and E470 up to 56th Avenue for future development of residential and mixed commercial. The proposed site plan is the final phase of the active adult community located between 48th and 52nd Avenue. However, per the master plan, the active adult area is proposed to expand north of 52nd Avenue in the future. 11 adjacent property owners and 5 registered neighborhood organizations were notified of the application. Comments were received from 8 residents after the first review, expressing concerns about the introduction of duplexes on motor courts, density, changes in home values, additional traffic and parking issues, and a concern that there would be adequate open space and amenities. The applicant met with the residents at a neighborhood meeting on November 29th, 2022, and explained that the density was within the proposed density approved with the master plan. The additional guest parking will be provided within duplex motor courts as well as single-family detached motor courts, and that the overall traffic increase is within the allowance of the traffic report, and the open space and amenities that are provided via an exclusive clubhouse and for the active adult community, and as well as additional amenities and trails, will be sufficient to support the development. Since the first review, no additional comments were received. The applicant has provided proof that notices of the public hearing were sent to 48 adjacent property owners and 5 neighborhood organizations, and 3 signs were posted around the site. The primary issues discussed during development review included access and connectivity, which relates to the adjustment requests, product mix and distribution, and the proximity of open space to small lots. The proposed site plan includes 244 lots and provides 1 gated access to the north on Tibet Road and a second gated access, to the north is 52nd, to the east is Tibet Road, both of which are collector streets. The site will connect with existing active adult residential community to the west via 51st Place, and then we'll also be able to connect to Tibet 52nd Avenue via Quemoy Street court internally. There is no vehicular access to the south due to the tributary T drainage corridor. The proposed site plan provides a network of organized streets in a grid. However, there is a lack of connectivity due to the drainage corridor and the cul-de-sacs on the north half of the site. Staff did request 1 additional access point. However, the applicant is requesting an adjustment due to the fact that this is an active adult community and the residents would prefer security. The result of the limited access does result in the block perimeter, which is outlined in the dashed blue line in this image, to exceed the 2,800 foot requirement. The proposed site plan does comply with the 700-foot block length and provides common open space tracts that are at least 30 feet in width, as demonstrated with the green arrows on this image. All lots are within 1,320 linear feet of a proposed park or open space area. As stated, the applicant is requesting 2 adjustments. The first adjustment is to section 146-4.5.3.B1 for access and connectivity, specifically for Cicely Street in this location, which requires turning 3 streets upon leaving the collector. Staff finds that the internal street grid is sufficient for vehicular access and that the applicant has provided additional open space tracts with sidewalks that will enhance the pedestrian connectivity. Therefore, staff supports this proposed adjustment. The second adjustment is a request to exceed the block perimeter length of 2,800 linear feet as stipulated in section 146-4.3.9.b. The lack of access to Tibet Road results in a block perimeter of approximately 4,200 linear feet. The applicant's justification is to limit the access due to the fact that this is a gated, active adult community that requests to have privacy and security. Staff is neutral on this request and will allow the applicant to discuss this further during their presentation. The proposed site plan includes a variety of products and lot sizes that are distributed in groupings throughout the development. The product mix includes lots ranging from 45 to 75-foot wide lots for single-family detached residential units that are oriented to the street. Those are identified in yellow. Also proposed are single-family detached dwelling units on motor courts that will share a common driveway. Those lots are identified in orange. Also proposed are 2-family duplexes that will be oriented to the streets, shown in blue, while there are also duplexes on motor courts proposed that are shown in teal. All small lots are located within 1,320 linear feet of a park or a designated open space, as well as each residential lot will provide usable outdoor open space. All homes on the motor courts will be that are oriented to the street will have front doors that face the street that will ensure that there is a unified streetscape within the community. And the proposed density of this development is 5.5 DUs per acre, which is in compliance with the master plan density of 6.2 units per acre for this planning area. Excuse me. The approval criteria are found within the UDO for major site plans, and the proposed site plan complies with the criteria with the exception of the 2 adjustment requests, such that the site plan is consistent with the intent of the applicable criteria and standards within the UDO. The site plan meets the intent of the emerging neighborhood place type, and the Green Valley Ranch East development provides a mix of housing units in the area and promotes the furthers development of this corridor. The development can be supported by the city's existing infrastructure, and the site plan is consistent with the Green Valley Ranch master plan design standards. For these reasons, staff supports finds that the proposed site plan is in compliance with the criteria with the exception of the adjustments noted, and that it should be approved with one condition for the resolution of outstanding technical issues prior to the recordation of the site plan and the issuance of any building permits. This concludes my presentation. I am available for questions, and the applicant is available with his consultants to answer questions and make a brief presentation.
Thank you, Debbie. I'll open the floor for questions from the commission of staff.
Chairman
Go
Walls,
ahead.
I have
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I have one question. It's really relative to the study session that we had earlier. I noticed that there are a number of turnarounds. I would like to know where the fire department would come in and how those cul-de-sacs really meet the requirements or exceed the requirements of the fire department, and what is the time for the fire department to get to this particular uh, development?
I do not have the time that is available or that they would get to the site. I can address the cul-de-sacs that they fall within the allowance of the fire department requirements, and they are less than the maximum length. They have reduced the number of units that will be provided on each cul-de-sac to make sure that water pressure was going to be maintained. And there are 4 units where there are 8 units within a motor court, there are fire lane easements that would be provided in the shared drives. I don't think that answers all of your questions, but those were definitely elements of the discussion during the site plan review.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Bush. Commissioner Hogan.
Debbie, I have a follow-up question that is similar to Melvin's or Commissioner Bush's, and that's that in lieu of our discussion this evening with the different types of housing, particularly some of the higher density housing, these streets, can these streets accommodate parking within the street and still allow passage for fire trucks? And if you cannot answer that, do we have somebody from engineering that can?
It's slightly out of my wheelhouse.
Brendan, do
Well,
we have someone else?
They're using, Debbie, this is Brandon, City of Aurora Planning. They're using standard street sections. Is that correct?
Yes,
So thereby those are supported and able to provide that pass through.
So if parking, let's take cul-de-sac, I can't read it, whatever cul-de-sac, pick one. If there's parking on both sides of the street, a fire truck still can go there and put out a fire. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Based upon a standard street section? Parked on 2 sides of the street.
Hi, this is Kendra Hanagami with engineering.
Awesome. Thank you, Kendra.
Yeah, no problem. They are using a standard local type 1 street section, which has a 64-foot right of way, and the pavement width is 34 feet. So if there was parking on both sides, that would take up 14 feet total, 7 feet on either side, and leave 20 feet for passing in the middle. So I believe using the standard section, a fire truck should have clearance to pass through.
Okay, thank you, because I can see where they'd have room to turn around. I just wanted to make sure with parking on both sides, it offered sufficiency for lane passage. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I think I'm not to chime in the same vein, but I think I also have concerns. I have concerns about the 2 adjustments. And in lieu of our study session today, maybe if we didn't have this study session right before this particular hearing, it would be different, but it's on all of our minds. I'm concerned with almost double the amount of linear footage that the block perimeter is. And I'm curious why. I read that they wanted security. It's a gated community. They only have 2 access points into the community. Talk to me a little bit about the review for that process. This seems really closed off with several internal streets for movement, but it's concerning that there are only 2 points of access to this whole development from the collector streets.
It was also a staff's concern, which is a large part of why we are here at the Planning Commission this evening, is that it did not meet that requirement. To discuss some of the other concerns, I will have the applicant address that very specifically. From a traffic point of view, they've been through the review and their traffic study has been approved by the traffic department. I think that Dean is on though also, and he might be able to address that.
Great. And if we do have someone from traffic, I do have a follow-up question about the traffic study. I understand the levels of service are going to be fine overall for this development can handle those, but I'm curious about there were quite a few recommendations in that traffic study, and I can't tell, we obviously don't have the previous submittals for this particular development, but I can't tell if any of those improvements or suggestions in their conclusions and recommendations have been incorporated into this site plan. There are a number of them. I think there's probably 9 or 10 recommendations overall.
Good evening, Commission. This is Dean Kaiser with Development Services Traffic Unit. I was going through the study myself. It seems like we still have some comments that needed to be addressed. And I was looking a little bit at the 2 access points. I think we have to do a follow-up review of those 2 access points because I almost feel like the analysis that was done on those looks to be potentially incorrect. I don't know if the applicant's traffic engineer is on or not, but I feel like they did what we call a 2-stage operation, where they feel like, you know, a left turn vehicle can leave the site, go out into, say, the center lane of the roadway, and then get back in. And we call that a 2-stage. 2-stage makes things operate a lot better. And I don't think that's obviously the correct component that they need to do. So I think we have to look at this a little bit more under technical referral to make sure that we're absolutely okay with this, because I just have a little bit of concern. I did not do the full review. Somebody else in our traffic group did this, but I think we still need to take a look at it, a little bit harder look at it, just to make sure, because I almost have to agree a little bit that the 2 access points makes it, you know, very limiting. There is a low traffic volume because of the nature of this type of development. There's not as many trips generated, even though it's a denser community. Typically with the senior communities, we see less trips overall. So, and more or less trips during those peak hours that we're always concerned about. So that's what I can give you at this point.
Okay, thank you. Further questions for staff from the commission? Okay, we will move on to the applicant presentation. You'll have 10 minutes to present. Please state your name, the organization that you represent, and you may optionally state if you are an Aurora resident.
Hello, my name is Mike Wire from Terracina Design, located at 10200 East Girard Avenue, Denver, Colorado, 80231. Our firm has been the land planner and landscape architect on this project since 2016. I've been working on Green Valley Ranch for about 9 years now. It's been great to see the project build out over that time, and I'm sure the city has been excited to see that area change so quickly. Here's the overall master plan as it stands today, with north being to the left. This includes the addition of the 310 parcel to the north as part of our second amendment to the master plan, which includes both active adult development along 52nd Avenue and commercial development along 56th. The filing we're here to talk about tonight is filing 17, located in the yellow box. This is the final piece of the active adult community known as the reserve. Here is an enlargement of the reserve neighborhood. The reserve is an age-restricted community for those 55 years of age and up. Active adult communities offer resort-style amenities, communal activities, and a range of living spaces. Filing 17 is located in the top left and is the last of 4 filings planned between 48th Avenue and 52nd Avenue. The reserve includes a centralized 20-acre neighborhood park and open space, 4 pocket parks, and one amenity site with clubhouse, pool, tennis courts, fitness center, and community rooms. All 650 units of the 4 active adult filings get to use and enjoy these amenities. While this is a gated community that restricts vehicular access to residents that live there, residents from outside may still enjoy the parks and amenities through the use of various trails and walks that link this community to surrounding communities. Here's an overall illustrative of filing 17 with north to the top of the page. This plan includes 4 different home types. We have single-family front-loaded homes in the yellow. We have single-family watercourt homes in like the tannish color to the east along Tibet Road. 2-family front-loaded homes in a darker tan color, kind of scattered throughout the site. There's 18 of those. And we have 2-family watercourt homes, which are located in the dark brown color. Those are also kind of scattered throughout the site plan as well. As you can see by the color-coded lots, the products are mixed throughout the site plan to create a variety in each phase and along each street frontage. Open space within this filing is provided through a centrally located half-acre pocket park. This pocket park is activated through the use of a looping trail that bends and twists through the park, leading the user to various points of interest. Shade is also provided in several locations for users to comfortably relax and enjoy their surroundings. Each home site in this filing is within 1,320 linear feet walking distance to this park. Additional common open space can be found in the neighborhood park and open space system that borders the entire southwest edge of this filing. 4 pedestrian connections are also provided through landscape tracks into the neighborhood park and open space, as shown with the blue arrows. Additional open space and trails are provided in Tract A, north of East 51st at 51st Place, which is an extension of the open space and channel that continues to the north and across 52nd Avenue for future residents and future active adult development. 2 gated entries provided access to the surrounding city grid at 52nd Avenue to the north here, Tibet Road to the east on the southeast corner. And 1 additional access point is provided internally via East 51st Place to the west into filing 5, shown here. These are shown with the red arrows, as you can see. The gated communities are marketed for their privacy, exclusivity, and security. In fact, a 2013 study found that gated communities experience 33% fewer burglaries than non-gated communities. This desire for reduced access and more security leads to our request for an adjustment to the UDO to allow for the maximum block perimeter to exceed 2,800 linear feet, shown here in red. While the perimeter block length does exceed 2,800 linear feet, several 30-foot private common open space tracks are provided to break up the continuous frontage of those lots along 52nd Avenue and Tibet Road. Pedestrian access is also provided to each one of these open space breaks to promote internal access and connectivity, as shown with the blue arrows. Each residential block also meets the 700 maximum block length per code and are bordered by streets and open space. A second adjustment being requested is to allow for the lots on North Sicily Street to be accessed by 3 or more local streets after departing from the grid of adjacent Collector Street. The image to the right shows the 3 local streets with the red arrows. Adding additional access points to reduce this cul-de-sac access to 2 local streets results in the loss of security without much benefit. The number of units per access point is also comparable to other approved filings in the community. To mitigate the additional street access, driving distance to these units on North Sicily has been kept to a minimum with shorter sections of street. A pocket park on the south end of the trail, the south end, and trail access to the north end also provide additional connectivity to this cul-de-sac. One of the concerns from the neighbors and staff was parking. This plan shows how we meet and exceed the parking requirements in this neighborhood. Each unit has a 2-car garage, as indicated with the yellow dots. Home sites along the streets are configured to have front doors facing the street. Non-motor court home sites all have driveways, which provide guest parking indicated with green dots. Homes on motor courts also have green guest spaces when exceeding 6 home sites. Overall, we have 259 guest spaces, which exceed the 52 that are required. Street parking is also available on the private streets as indicated with the red dots. We have approximately 279 street parking spaces. This slide shows the 2 different motor court configurations in this filing. On the left is the typical 2-family duplex home on a motor court. A typical configuration is made up of 4 to 8 units with front doors and garages mostly facing the motor court. Units along the street have front doors facing the street. Private fenced in yards are provided at the rear of each unit. And we also provide 4 guest spaces within this motor court configuration. On the right is the typical single-family home on a single-family configuration on motor court. The typical configuration is made up of 4 to 6 units with front doors and garages mostly facing the motor court. Units along the street also have front doors facing the street. Private fenced-in yards are provided at the rear of each one of these units. And within a 6-pack, 2 guest spaces are provided per the code. Here's a comparison of the 2 different duplex configurations in this filing. On the top of the road is the motor court configuration with front-loaded duplex on each end. To the bottom is a traditional front-loaded duplex configuration, which is a garage dominant along the street. The use of motor court configurations to the top enables more street parking than traditional front-loaded products, since there are fewer driveway connections to the street. Motor courts create visually appealing streetscapes when compared to the garage dominant duplex configurations as well. Here we have an elevation and plan view of the front-loaded duplex homes. As you can see in the elevation view at the top, you mostly see garages with very little streetscape along that view. Here's a 3D rendering of that front-loaded duplex configuration. As you can see, it's mostly garages facing the street, a lot of driveways, and very little vegetation. Here we have an elevation and plan view of the duplex homes on a motor court. As you can see in the elevation view at the top, you don't see any garages. Driveways are spaced well apart and more tree lawn is provided than typical front-loaded configurations. Here's a 3D rendering of one of those motor court configurations of duplex. This also applies to the single-family configurations, but you don't see any garages and you see front doors and more vegetation along the streetscape. That concludes my presentation from my end. Let me know if you have any questions for me or my team. Thank you.
Great, thank you for the presentation. I'll open the floor for questions from the commission. Commissioner Riley.
Yes, slide 8 and slide 10.
Would you like me to scroll back to that?
Yeah, if you would, because you're looking at 8 homes using 1 driveway. How many?
Correct. That's a motor court configuration.
How many guest spaces do you envision? Because if you look at the picture above, you got 1 car going in between the homes, and you're going to have guest parking as well as vehicles go in and out or turn into their garage or back out of their garage.
Yeah, there's 4 guest spaces provided in each. Maybe this other slide probably shows it better. This is kind of your typical duplex motor court configuration with the guest spaces. I guess 4 guest spaces provided within that, and it's a shared motor court.
Yeah, but the one I'm looking at has 8.
Yeah, these are 8 units right here.
Oh, that's 8 units right there.
Yep.
Okay. And can you point again to where the guest parking is supposed to be?
Sure. There's 1 right here in between the 2 units. There's here,
Yep.
and then the 2 up top.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Would you be able to respond to the my earlier questions about the implementation of any of the recommendations within the traffic study?
Which specific recommendations would you be
Any of
referring
them.
to?
There's a
Any
number
of them?
Yeah.
I'd have to look back at the traffic study to see which recommendations you're referring to.
Do you know off the top of your head if you have implemented any of the recommendations from the traffic study in your design?
We've been working with our traffic engineer and the city staff to kind of create this design. So I think we've implemented some of those. Yes.
Okay. Further questions from the commission? Okay, Stephanie, do we have any members of the public signed up to speak on 8D?
No, Chair, we do not.
Okay, final opportunity for questions from the commission, either of staff or the applicant. Commissioner Benka.
I guess I have a general question. So I believe it was our traffic gentleman, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the name, that said that he would have to do some additional review. Are we okay to vote on this project when we know there's additional review, or did I miss something, or?
Yeah, the normal level of procedure per our rules would be I'll entertain a motion once this part of the testimony part of the hearing is closed. I'll entertain a motion, and then if the commission would like to bring forth a motion to postpone or delay or lay on the table, those would then be in order, which is the direction that I'm leaning.
Okay, all right.
Okay, any further questions of staff or the applicant? Seeing none, I will close this portion of the public hearing and entertain a motion on agenda item 8D.
I'm going to make an attempt.
Commissioner Benka.
Thank you. So I would make the motion that we postpone this.
Your motion would be either to approve or deny, and then the motion to postpone would be a secondary motion to the main motion to approve or deny.
Okay. So, all right. So sorry about that.
No worries.
So I need to, sorry, let me get the words. All right. So I'm going to make the motion based on the staff recommendation and the presentation and discussion at this evening's public hearing. I move to approve the site with one condition and two adjustments to maximum block perimeter and local street and access connectivity because the proposal complies with the requirements of Code Section 146-5.4.3.b.2 of the Unified Development Ordinance for the reasons stated in the staff report. Approval to be subject to the following condition. 1, resolution of outstanding technical issues prior to recordation of site plan and issuance of any building permit. And I so move.
Thank you, Commissioner Benka. It's been moved to approve agenda item 8D. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Bush. It's been moved and seconded. I'll open the floor for discussion. I'd like to start off. I have some significant concerns with this application. Both of the adjustments, I think, which are sort of tied together, all of it fits together for me in generally finding that the adverse impacts of the way that the site plan is presented to us are not mitigated whatsoever. I think that we need further review by traffic engineering. I'd like to see more implementation of those recommendations because there are quite a few, especially like turn movement recommendations. And I'm very concerned with the allowing access by 3 streets. Just given the fact that we had the presentation by Aurora Fire, I would really like more eyes on this site plan. I would like more staff opinion and staff review for this site plan before I could feel comfortable in any of these specific impacts from any of the adjustments being mitigated. So that's sort of how I'm feeling. I'll take some other comments and then I will rise to a motion to postpone. Any other discussion? Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Benka.
So if you make a motion to postpone, do I need to withdraw this motion?
No, your motion stands. The motion will then carry to whatever day the motion is made to postpone it to.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure I understand procedure. Thank you.
No problem. Commissioner Hogan?
I concur with you, Chairman Walls. I'm obviously a big fan of Oakwood Homes, but this site plan is strange to me, particularly given the fact that I live in an active age community. And what occurs in those communities is people like myself, we age in place. And the fact is, we actually need more medical and often emergency services. And I just don't see this plan taking that into consideration. And I guess I was specifically moved by our city engineer, Dean's comments in the fact that these are just not resolved. So, and I'm sorry, Mike, that the fact that you couldn't respond on whether or not they were resolved or what mitigation that you guys did in site planning to alleviate these traffic issues. So it all causes me to pause with the hope that if this is indeed paused and come back, that everybody has answers to these questions.
Yeah, and to your point, I think the fact that it is an older community or planned to be an older community, the access to services is important. So I actually disagree with the statement that security is lessened by adding another access point. I think as long as that's a controlled access point and a gated access point, you're only expanding the ability for emergency services and people to enter and exit the property. That actually improves the safety and security within the development. So I think that's kind of counterintuitive there. Further discussion on 8D? Commissioner Riley.
I want to make one point. I live there. And so traffic is a concern. Fire and rescue is a concern. I will tell you that I have no personal or financial interest in the development behind me, but I do have a connection to it. I just wanted to state that.
I think that's valid, Commissioner Riley. I mean, we're members of the public as well, and your discussion and testimony matters just as much as anyone else's does. So thank you. Further discussion on the adoption of 8D? Seeing no further discussion, the chair rises to move to postpone the approval of agenda item 8D. And I'll check with staff. Does the 10th of September give staff enough time to conduct further review? Or should we look at the 24th?
I would also like to consult with the consultants and the applicant to make sure that any recommendations that might need to be addressed can be taken care of in that time frame as well.
Okay. Why don't we shoot for the 24th then? So I will move to postpone the adoption of agenda item 8D to September the 24th. Do I have a second?
Hogan seconds.
Thank you. I'll open the floor for discussion. This is a debatable motion. So I need discussion on the motion to postpone the approval of agenda item 8D. I think for all the reasons stated in our previous discussion on the adoption, stand for the postponement. There's a lot here that I think needs to be reviewed, a lot of concerns that I feel affect not only the surrounding communities, but the potential future inhabitants and residents of this particular development. So I think that those concerns need to be looked at and reviewed before we see the site plan and adjustments again. Further discussion on the postponement of the adoption of 8D. Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Judchick.
Approve.
Commissioner Bush.
Approve.
Commissioner Geiser.
Approve.
Commissioner Riley.
Approve.
Commissioner Banka.
Approve.
Commissioner Hogan.
Approve.
And Commissioner Walls also votes to approve. So agenda item 8D will be heard on September 24th unless other notice has been provided by staff for the agenda update. Okay, moving on our agenda. Stephanie, do we have any members of the public signed up to speak on non-agenda items?
No, Chair, we do not.
Okay, I will open the floor for comments by commissioners or any miscellaneous items of business. Commissioner Riley.
When you called for site visits under Dutch Brothers, I didn't hear that, but I did visit the site. I would like that to be part of the record.
Absolutely, and we can, if it doesn't make it in the minutes, we can officially amend the minutes for our next meeting. Just help me remember that.
Yep.
Okay. Further comments, discussion by commissioners? Commissioner Banka.
Yes, so I just, given the situation that happened with the council meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we had not, we did not approve the Quick Trip gas station. And because there were so many other gas stations, I guess I have a question for the staff, attorney, whatever. If the project meets the UDO, are we not, I mean, is it, and I had talked to a couple of council people, are we not allowed to question it? Or, you know, are we not allowed to, you know, come back and say, gee, there's 11 gas stations? I really felt like, you know, that there were those on council that made it seem like we were really out of line and inappropriate to say that we felt like a quick trip there at Havana and Parker was not appropriate. So I guess I would like clarification. I mean, it's kind of like this project. I think we all agree that access is a concern. There's all these traffic issues, you know, but man, I hate to see something go before council and we get chastised again, if that's the appropriate wording.
Yeah, and I will defer to Brandon, Janine, or Lena, whoever wants to take it.
Thank you, Chair. Janine Rustad, Director of Planning and Business Development. We are definitely going to be going deeper into this during training. I don't know if that's going to be on the 24th. Commissioner Hogan, I'll look to you because I am going to be out on vacation, but you're in more than capable hands with Brandon and our attorney, Lena. What you need to do, one, is if there's testimony that there's 11, 13, 20, however many gas stations, we should always fact check because you want to make sure that the record, if it is appeal, is factual. So that's point one. Point two is you may absolutely ask these questions and tie it to the criteria. And last time we talked about the criteria, there's usually two. It can be one of two. One is it compatible with the existing neighborhood? But explain after motion second why it is or is not compatible. Put that on the record, and we have ideas how to strengthen the record. Had a great conversation with Chair Walls. Two is the other criteria that might be present is have any adverse impacts been mitigated? So those are both open-ended. When they're present, tie your findings, your reason for your decision to one of those. And again, more coming up in training.
Okay. Because I know even the council person for Ward 4 was not. But anyway, I guess I'm just trying to make sure I know what we can question and what we cannot. So thank you.
I agree. This is Commissioner Jacek. I was on the original committee with the Havana District Design Group, and I know it's part of the city's master plan. That was supposed to be an entertainment center, not a gas station. And that's why I voted against that. So I guess my question would be, all the past planning that we've done over the last 10, 20 years, that's out the window now. It doesn't matter because now it's a new time. And so we have to consider what's new and not consider what's on the record already.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
Brandon,
we can. So to take a step back, you know, I think as you recall, you know, we have kind of changed what goes to Planning Commission a little bit, right? And so now this is Brandon Camerata, Planning and Business Development. And so now what goes to Planning Commission is things that are conditional uses or things that have adjustments as well as legislative things. So now we're kind of not in that quagmire of, well, it meets the code and staff said it met the code. And so what are we discussing at the public hearing? So we don't have any of those. So now I think it's, you know, building up and deciding how we approach the conditional uses, which does have a subjective element, but we can talk about, you know, like you said, if there's a plan in place that talks about something, you know, that is an opportunity for you to discuss that as part of your reasoning and things of that sort. And then that's building the record and things like that. So, you know, it's always going to be a little bit of not a science to get to these difficult decisions, but I think we can keep working on it and continue to do better.
Yeah, and we will dive much deeper into this in sort of a work study session, whatever that ends up looking like. But we've had some great discussions leading up today. I met with the director and Brandon today and had some great discussion about this, about the importance of also using the tools that are already at our disposal. I think while we don't want Planning Commission to be a roadblock for development in the city and being an expedient process, we do have the ability, like we did tonight, to delay things, to postpone things, to ask for further review, to clarify the record. It's important, as Janine, Director Rustad said, to be very accurate when we're making our decisions based upon findings in the hearing. So if we feel there are 10, 13 gas stations, it's acceptable for us to ask for further review to get a factual record of what we have so that we can make the best possible finding that's defensible, both in court and defensible to our council members, but most importantly, defensible to the community that we represent. So those are kind of some of the main issues, and we'll dive further into that. But as you heard tonight, even on things that we feel are generally acceptable and we know are most likely going to be approved, it's important for us to put our comments and our findings based upon the hearing on the record. Because also, you know, the applicant is not the only person that can appeal these. If the community really doesn't want something, there can be a suit, there can be a case, there can be an appeal. So even when we approve things, it's important to state our findings, that why we are approving this. We feel like it meets the criteria. We feel like impacts have been mitigated. Those are important things to say, both in the positive, in the affirmative, and in the negative. So those are just a few other comments. Commissioner Hogan.
I completely agree with how this is being approached, but I would like to add one more thing, and that is a process in which it is being. So we articulate it on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's important that our articulation gets to City Council, and it cannot be buried in 1,500 pages. It can't. It needs to either be stated by a planning commissioner and or chair, a designated representative from Planning Commission on an appeal, and or it should be stated within the staff report verbatim. This is why Planning Commission voted one way or another, but it just can't be buried in the background. I understand it meets the intent of being there, but it can't be buried. Because if we have no voice, if they don't understand, which clearly City Council did not understand why we voted no, then it's irrelevant if we make a very, very good argument for it.
Director Rustad.
We did discuss this with Chair Walls today, that we're looking into, in the cases of appeal, instead of having a summary of the minutes, having a transcript of the hearing and the deliberations. I don't think anything was buried in the record, unfortunately, or fortunately. We have a very busy City Council. Those packets get very big, but we can, in the staff report, say on page X, lines X through X of the transcript, so we can work together and bring that out better.
Commissioner Geiser.
Yes, I have a question to our attorney. Can one of the representatives of Planning and Zoning appear before City Council during one of these cases?
I am going to defer to legal counsel on this.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your question for me?
So if City Council is having this action to whether to approve what Planning and Zoning did or not, can a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission appear before City Council and state our reasons?
I would not advise that. I would advise that that the record, that is the meeting minutes, is what is provided to council. We don't want I don't want it to go beyond, I wouldn't advise we go beyond that record.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Banka?
Just to clarify, I did speak to the council person that is over the ward that would involve. And then one of the other council people that was very opposed to our decision, and and they did not agree. They were both 180 degrees opposite. So, and the ward council person did not support it either. So I just wanted to clarify that. I don't want to make it sound like all the council people were, against us, because clearly the council person whose ward that all falls in was very happy with our decision. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Further comments by commissioners or any miscellaneous items of business? Director Rusted, did you have follow-up there?
I just, one thing we will also cover in the training, Lena, I'm looking at your image, is ex parte contacts, because we do want to make sure we're keeping the record clear and separating conversations on active appeals. And Lena, I think I'm correct, between the Planning and Zoning Commission staff even and City Council.
That's correct.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Hogan?
So I have a question, and Lena, this is not meant to be adversarial at all, but can you tell me why you would not want a planning commissioner to speak literally with the record if there were a comment or question by City Council? So that's number one. The second question is the one thing that Janine had just pointed out related to ex parte contact. She forgot that council contacted Planning Commission. So it's not that we were yapping it up with our city council. It's the council were ripping on us.
And if it's helpful, Lena, I actually have a statement from our city attorney. Pete wrote a statement about a member of the commission appearing before council during a hearing, if that's helpful.
Please.
Our city attorney says, due to the planning commission being quasi-judicial with the city council as the appellate body, it would not be appropriate for the chair or any member of the commission to appear before council as described. It would be equivalent to a trial court judge appearing at oral arguments in front of an appellate court, which is never allowed under the justice system. So that's the determination and explanation from our city attorney.
Thank you.
That makes sense. I do get that. I just wanted to know why.
And then I'll speak to the second thing. Obviously, I can't speak to conversations right now that may or may not be had or with council. The advisement of council on those matters falls with Pete. I will say we are having conversations about that. However, if council is reaching out to Planning Commission, I would advise you all to not engage. If there is a quasi-judicial matter in front of council or Planning Commission, and you have council members reaching out to you on those items, I would suggest that you, same as you would if a member of the public reached out to you, I would say this is a quasi-judicial matter and I can't discuss this.
Okay, anything further in our commissioner comment miscellaneous business section? Seeing none, we'll go on to Brandon. You're up with our planning division manager report. And thank you, by the way, all of those who contributed to help further the understanding there and keep the conversation going. Go ahead, Brandon. Oh, Commissioner Bush.
Yep. I did have one final comment, and it seems like what we're saying is that we should be stating factual information, because the planning department really sets the stage for really the growth of Aurora. And that really comes from the comprehensive city plan. So we should know that plan a lot better. I've also sat on the Board of Adjustments, and for Adams County, it's more subjective. So if we start changing according to how we feel on the planning department, I think we make it very difficult for the Board of Adjustments to make their decisions, because it becomes very subjective then, that one guy has a higher fence than the other guy, and because of that, we have to let everybody have a higher fence. So I think that in the planning department, we need to really go by our comprehensive plan. But the only way to do that is exactly what Commissioner Hogan said, is that we have a session to where we kind of talk about what we think the plan is, and then maybe we can be, as a committee, more consistent in what we pass and what we do, and we have that more based on fact, rather than how we feel.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Bush. Anything further before we go to Brandon? Okay, Brandon, you're up.
Thank you, Chair. Let's see, at City Council on Monday, an ancient item finally went through, which would be the comp plan amendment for the ALC ATEC, the land east of Aurora Highlands and Aerotropolis Parkway. So that comp plan amendment was approved essentially technically on second reading, and so it stayed on consent, even though it's been months since the first reading, and there was a pretty minimal development agreement associated with that as well. So those things happened on Monday. Also, that initial annexation went fine in front of City Council for, I think it was what, Sandy Point or there on 56. So that went through as well. Hey, I'll mention Jeffrey's replug ordinance also finished up there as well, if you recall from, I think that went through here. It has UDO elements in it. So the replug setbacks and all that stuff. Shoot, and we had broaching, I don't know the details, so don't ask me, but the 13th Avenue urban renewal plan was presented as well. So busy night for our department. Successful night, I think. And on to, I guess, my usual report of administratively approved items. Some noteworthy: 56th Avenue from Tibet to E470, or is it Piccadilly to E470? That design was administratively approved, so that is adjacent to the grocery store that's there, entitled there at the southeast corner of, I believe, Piccadilly and 56th. And then we had another one of those pre-flight DIA off airport parking. So another one of those big parking jobs up off of the direction towards the airport, where people get shuttled to the airport and leave their cars there. And then another indication of movement going on at Parklands. So Parklands is between Jewel and Alameda, east of Harvest. And so we did Parklands Coal Creek infrastructure plan. So that's kind of working with Mile High Flood District and having that design, I think the south part of it between Jewel and Mississippi there, kind of right in the middle. So kind of setting the table, I presume, for things to start happening in that master plan as well. So those are the things that got approved. If there's any questions, I could try to answer them. Commissioner Hogan. Sorry, through you, Chair.
Thank you.
Brandon, two questions. Question number one, related to pre-flight. Right now, if you look at the streets between Jackson Gap Street and Jackson Gap Way, they parallel and then they come almost to a cathedral point, correct?
Yeah.
Now you will have two active shuttle services between Fine Airport parking and pre-flight. There is, fortunately, only because there was a huge accident avoided, thanks to Carly, from traffic, who slapped a stop sign up there in about 24 hours. But is there, what's going to trigger a signal there? Because that's just going to get busier. And if those vans hit one another, multiple people will be hurt.
I probably can't give you a timeline, but what intersection exactly are you talking about?
Between Jackson Gap Street and Jackson Gap Way.
Where they
Again.
touch at the north end there?
Correct, because there's two parallel roads off of 56th. And they come up in almost what I would call a cathedral window shape.
Yeah.
And there is a single stop sign there, but with that traffic, because we didn't see any kind of traffic report with those, I just want to know what's going to trigger a signal, because you are increasing the traffic significantly with pre-flight. It's that intersection.
Sure. Yeah, definitely, Commissioner Hogan. I know the intersection you're referring to, and I will bring that back and try to find that answer for you, unless anybody happens to know on engineering off the top of their head, but I know that's not necessarily something anybody would know off the top of their head. So I will follow up on that, Commissioner Hogan. What do we got? Dean?
Oops, sorry, everybody. Again, Dean Kaiser, Traffic Development Services. I've had I have a decent familiarity with that intersection, looking at some past studies and things like that. Obviously, the traffic volumes associated with the intersection are what would drive the need for the traffic signal. We have that sort of on our watch list at this point, because we know that as traffic continues to grow in that area and as some of this development comes in, we will be looking to see if we will meet warrants in the very near future. I think the stop sign, obviously, that you mentioned that Carly got installed there has helped out a little bit. So we'll take it back and we'll even go through the public works process to see if we're getting any closer to that threshold volume that would warrant the traffic signal.
So did pre-flight not have to do a traffic study?
I'd have to look. I don't remember it. I feel like I looked at something a little bit earlier than pre-flight, but I can look in our files as well and see if we had something on that. Because usually anything that comes in, even these parking areas, obviously for the airport, drive the need for traffic studies, just because there's so many people coming in and out, throughout the course of the day. We're always gauging everything, obviously, on our morning rush hour, afternoon rush hour. So, we usually always ask for traffic studies for these. So I would presume that there should be one, but I'd have to check our files to see what we have for that.
That would be great if you could get back. And then secondly,
Absolutely.
Brandon, with Janine being out on the 24th, can we do the study session on October 8th? That one, so we're not disrupting. So we would not have a study session on the 24th. Rather, we would have one on the 8th, and then, depending on if necessary, one on the 22nd of October.
I think she's out on the 8th, correct? And here for the 24th.
No, I am out September 24th. I will be back October, let me just double check. Yes, I am back October 8th.
We could, why don't we take this offline? Because I think
Okay.
I'd like to talk about, I don't want to waste everyone's time here discussing this, but I think that we could break a larger training, either talk again about another work session, like a fall retreat kind of thing, or break these up into several study sessions so that we're not trying to digest a whole bunch of stuff in our,
In a
study
1 hour
session time
period.
period before our meeting. And then we have back to back. So we'll discuss that offline.
Okay.
Any other questions for Brandon? Oh, one question to bring up. Have you heard anything about the Jewel cottages? Are we going to see that again? Is that application still active?
Chair, through you, yes, it has been turned back in, so I don't have the date, but it should be in the next 6 weeks or so, coming to this commission.
Perfect. Okay, any other questions for Brandon? All right, seeing none, we'll go to our city attorney's report. Lena, the floor is yours.
Great. I just have one thing for you all this weekend, or this week. Oh my God. Today, long night. So as you all know, I've been working on the request to change the parliamentary rules that you all use, looking away from O. Garfield Jones and other options. One of the options that, if you remember, I'd suggested was the abbreviated version of Robert's rules, because if you think O. Garfield Jones is confusing, if you've ever tried to read the entirety of Robert's rules, it's a good way to put yourself to sleep at night if you have insomnia. But Bob's rules is a shortened version. It's used by a lot of local governments in Colorado. It's the one I'm most familiar with. And so I've been looking into that. I did want to ask you all if you would be interested in, I'd like to present it to you all and kind of give a little brief explanation of it and go through it before you decide whether or not you want to use it. And then also, if you give me the okay, I need to reach out to the author and get permission to reprint it because it is copyrighted. I guess this is sort of a question for all of you, specifically Chair Walls and Brandon, on the agenda. But would we like to put it as a general agenda item? Would we like to add it to a study session? How would you all like to handle that presentation? It would just be really short, going into Bob's rules and kind of laying it out for you all, how it works, so you can get a primer on it before you adopt it.
I'd like to learn about it if I could in a study session, just because I've dealt with Roberts. And if there's a variation, I'd like to see what those variations are.
Yeah.
I think study session would be good.
And then would we need to formally adopt it, Chair Walls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you would need to amend your bylaws. Right now, your bylaws say that you use O. Garfield Jones, so it would just be a really simple bylaw change. And as I mentioned, Planning Commission's bylaws don't have to go to council for approval, so you all would just need to do a motion to amend your bylaws and make that change. So it'd be pretty simple to do.
So I think we could look to have this, and again, we'll do all the scheduling offline, but I think we'll do a study session separated, and then have proposed bylaws to vote on as an agenda item for a meeting, potentially even in our consent calendar or in our consent agenda.
Absolutely.
So I think we'll tackle it that way, unless anybody has any particular feelings about that. Okay, other questions for Lena? All right, final opportunity for announcements. Thank you, Lena.
Absolutely.
Okay, seeing none, I move that we adjourn this evening's meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, meeting adjourned, everyone. Have a great evening.
See y'all later.
Thank you.